Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to me. Yes!
We can wait for better days, but the days won't come. Show me life, show me love. This is all we got. Show me life, show me love. This is all we got. Show me love, show me love.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Purpose in Chaos. I am your host, Rox Tran, and it is my 36th birthday. It is my 36th birthday today. That means 4 more years till I'm 40. 4 more years till I'm 40. You know what? A lot of people wouldn't celebrate being closer to 40. You know, you don't commonly see that. But I am a firm believer now that the 40s and the 50s is really where it's at, okay? It's really where it's at. That's where you come into your prime. You know exactly who you are. You don't take no BS from nobody. You've lived and walked this life a little bit. So I am just so excited to be here, to be recording. It's another solo pod today. I am so excited. It's my birthday. Check out this cute little on-air sign behind me that one of my friends got me as a present. It is so cute. Like, okay, on air, we're official. I'm so excited today. As you can tell, my energy is just off the roof. I'm literally bouncing all over the place. But it's June 8th, you guys. June 8th. And if you're not familiar with what the number 8 means, it means to build and destroy. And that is literally my life. I literally feel like God couldn't have given me a better number, because to build and destroy, like what? How many times have I done that in my whole life? I can even tell you. I can even count on both hands and feet how many times I've had to build myself up just to destroy myself, just to build myself up to destroy, and to build myself up again. And you know what? We are in the season of building. As you can tell, we are in a new season, or I am in a new season of building and creating, and I am just living, and I am happy and I'm at peace. That is the one thing that I have really, really been wanting in life, and that is just to feel peace. And glory to God, I would not be able to feel fulfilled and peace and wholeness without Him. So thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you for providing, as you always do, in your perfect timing. So I don't know if you guys have been outside lately. I live in New Jersey. The wildfires from Canada. Okay, if you're in the northeastern, for the most part, states of the U.S., and you have seen the smoke and the haze from the Canada wildfires, it is something out of a movie, okay? It is literally something out of a movie. The other day, I walked outside with my son, Savian, and I was like, what is happening? Like, something is terribly wrong. Somebody's house is burning down. But the thing is that the amount of smoke and the amount of haze that was just all around, I was like, there's no way one house caused this. Because looking around, the smoke was covering my entire neighborhood. I was like, something is wrong. So I was like, there's no way that only one house can cause all of this smoke. There's just no way. So I drove down to like the back kind of area of their neighborhood where there's like a few warehouses. I was like, maybe something really bad happened in that area, God forbid. But we drove down there and there was literally nothing happening. So I'm like, bro, I have to find out what's going on, because this is just not normal. It's scary. Like, it is scary. So I go on to Piscataway People on Facebook. It's a Facebook group for the town. And I know that somebody in there is going to be talking about it, because that's where all the chismis happens, okay? And someone had posted, like, does anybody know where the smoke is coming from? Blah, blah, blah. And my son, I was driving, so I had my son look through the comments, and he was like, there's people saying that it's Canada. And I'm just like, why are these people being so aggy? Like, why every single time someone has to post a serious question, there's always people in the comments that are ding, 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 just saying like weird and crazy things. But I was like, after doing more research, I was like, bro, this is actually coming from Canada. Like, oh my goodness. I was just dumbfounded. I was shocked. I was like, what is actually happening right now? Like, this is literally a scene out of a movie. It's very eerie outside. And I've never seen this before in my life. I don't think anyone in the States has ever seen this in their whole life. Like, according to the news, this is like the worst air quality that the world has ever seen. And we all know how China can get. Like, their air quality ain't that great over there. But, whoo, like, I can't even imagine living in that kind of smog every single day where it's, like, truly visible and really, like, eerie and scary, like, to look at. So, and it was very triggering because it's like this thing that's affecting everyone again. It just brings you back to like the pandemic where it's like it affects one, it affects all, it affects everybody, and it's just like, oh my gosh, what's happening? So we're buying masks again. Like, you see people out in the streets wearing masks, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's happening again. It's happening again. But I just gotta calm down. Okay, the fires aren't gonna last forever. This is gonna pass at some point. I just really hope that it doesn't last too long because this is not good for our health, y'all. I'm pretty sure the inhalation that we have been taking in is not healthy at all. Whew, man, this has been a crazy, crazy week, but I have plans with Tone for this weekend. We're going out to Washington, D.C. We are gonna film an episode down in Washington, so keep your eyes peeled for that. I am excited to get away. I'm excited to take a break from my kids. As much as I love them so much, they take so much energy out of me because I am the primary caretaker when it comes to them. And I just, y'all, mama needs a break. Mama needs a break sometimes. Like, I love my kids to death, but they just be sucking the life out of me. You know, I have small kids, so anyone that has small kids can understand. I'm excited to hit DC. One of the main things that I wanted to go hit up was the Museum of the Bible. I knew that I wanted to go away for my birthday, and I knew that I wanted to do something that was kind of revolved around God, Jesus, my faith. Like, I just wanted to do something that would like elevate me a little bit more and like get me learning and, you know, immersing myself in some more research and history and stuff like that. I knew that I wanted to do that for my birthday. So I went on Google. I looked up best, I don't know if I said vacations or best Christian tourist attractions or something along the sorts. And I was so surprised to see that there are actually a lot of things across the country that are not talked about that are like pretty significant. Like, I don't know if you guys know, but down in, what is it? Is it Kentucky? Am I thinking Kentucky? It's Kentucky, Tennessee, something along those lines. There is an actual life-size ark like that is supposed to be a replica of Noah's Ark. And it's huge. And I was like, what? Why have I never heard of this before? And there was just a few other things on the list. And I'm just like, wow, I would have never known this if I did not look this up. And just like the Museum of the Bible, which we're going to hit up in DC, I didn't even know that was a thing. And I have been to DC many times and I've went to the museums many times. I did not know that there was a Museum of the Bible. But I'm hitting that up. I'm going to get myself a new Bible because I'm a Bible collector now. And I'm just excited. I'm excited to, dang, I really wish I could say get some fresh air, but DC is affected by the fires too. Whew. But I guess I'm just excited for a scenery change. I am a homebody, so I spend most of my time at home. I work out of my home most of the time. I hang out with my friends in my home. I'm just a homebody, so I just need to get out. So I'm really happy that we're gonna go and do that. And yeah, I'm excited to get to film somewhere else. I wonder what that experience is gonna be like, to film in a hotel room, or maybe we can use the business center or something. Who knows. But I'm giving it to God. Thy will be done. Oh, that's another thing that I wanted to do. I wanted to get a new tattoo that says thy will be done, because if I've learned anything, okay, my plans are nothing compared to God's plans. Okay, can I get an amen to that? So you guys, man, there is just a lot to talk about today. The topic of conversation that I wanted to talk about today is forgiving our parents. Now, I know deep diving into your past can be scary, but it is absolutely necessary for growth, okay? You need to establish a baseline so that you can grow, you can evolve, and become a more whole person. And when it comes to me, if you've listened to any of the previous episodes, you know that my past has not been easy. And a lot of what I've been through in life involves my parents. And a lot of the blame that I used to put on other people because of what I went through was directed towards my parents. Now that I know that I have to take accountability and I have to take responsibility for the things that I have been through in my life, in terms of how I can receive this information, how I can receive the experience, I gotta let go of some things. The reason that I felt like it was important for me to talk about this now is because I literally had dinner with my dad yesterday for the first time in 2 or 3 months. And the reason why we weren't speaking is just because I wasn't in agreement with his lifestyle. And I know now, after Christ, that everyone is a child of God and everyone deserves forgiveness, and not everybody understands what they do. And I think a lot of us can identify with knowing that our parents just did the best that they could with what they could. And it's hard to accept, that we have to share blame for our life, because it's easier. It's easier to just put it off on someone else. Yeah, I was sexually abused as a child. That's why I don't trust anyone. And that's why I never let anyone too deep, because someone's eventually going to hurt me just like they did. Or my parents were physically abusive to me as a kid, so it's okay for me to be physically abusive to other people, because that's how I was taught, so that's what I know, so that's what I'm going to do. In reality, this way of thinking is so detrimental, and it is so, oppressive to yourself, and it hinders your ability to see the world in a different way, see people in a different way. So for me, where I want to start in this whole conversation is the physical discipline that I received as a kid. And that started with my dad. So when I deep dive into my brain and into my heart about why I am the way that I am, a lot of it stems back to a lot of it stems back to the relationship that I had with my dad. He was a strict Filipino dad, the kind of dad that wouldn't let you sleep over places, the kind of dad who would smack me in my face if I got a B, the kind of dad who would force you to do things that you didn't want to do, like every single night after dinner, you mop and sweep and clean the house and do all this stuff. Like as a kid, you don't want to do those things and you just get mad at your parent for making you do them. So when I would get in trouble, I would be scared. Like I would be super scared because my dad had chosen items that he would use to like discipline us. And one of his main ways of showing us discipline was to hit us with the belt while we were laid down face first, like laid down with our backs up and our face to the ground while he would hit us with the belt. And those memories are vivid. And I feel like that is where it started for me. Because I was physically, sexually abused as a child starting at the age of 4. So pair that up with the discipline, the physical discipline that I would get from my dad. And like the lack of encouragement, the lack of affirmation, the lack of like wanting to know me as a person. I harbored all of that in me and was like, it affected my confidence growing up. It affected my confidence as an adult. It affected like my relationship with men. And it really stems from those first like years of my life. I would say from the age of 4 to like now. The amount of weight that I would carry because of my experience as a child. I was one of those people who thought that I could like suppress it. And I thought that I could just do better without having to heal first. And man, was I mistaken. I realize now that my parents did what they could with what they could. I realize now that everyone is a child of God. Everyone is worthy of love and forgiveness. And everyone deserves to be understood. And my dad is a part of everyone. My mom is a part of everyone. And I have to accept that no matter what my hurt feelings are. And I have to understand. I need to have understanding. And the way that I'm going to have understanding is just by talking about it, sharing, and possibly having a discussion with people who have been through the same things as me. And also forgiving forgiving them and also forgiving myself for not knowing any better in terms of how much blame I put on them and how much I didn't want to take any responsibility for my actions or my point of view. So now we're here. So to give a little bit of context of the relationship that my mom and my dad had, my parents did not have a loving relationship. Like I've only ever, like when my parents were together, I only seen them give each other like a small, tiny little peck, on the lips when they would say hi and bye, like coming to and from work. Other than that, like I never seen them like cuddling, never seen them affectionate towards each other, never seen them laughing with each other. So those were the kinds of things that I didn't see as a kid. I grew up wanting that kind of relationship that was so loving, that was so affectionate, that was so like serving towards the other person, because I wanted the opposite of what my parents went through. We'll talk about how this, or how my parents' relationship ties into my marriage later down the line. But in terms of like the relationship between my parents, my mom only stayed in it for the sake of me and my sisters. And I feel like she would agree to that. They got divorced when I was 17. The way that they got divorced was extremely traumatic. But in terms of where I have to start to forgive is the physical discipline that my dad gave to us, and also towards my mom. I have to forgive the fact that she didn't stop it. Like, I personally feel like there were many times that she could have interjected and, told my dad to stop. But maybe I only remember one time that she tried to intervene because maybe what he was doing was just too much. I need to forgive my mom for, kind of taking a back seat in the disciplinary realm and kind of letting my dad handle it. I don't know if it was like an Asian thing where you just allow your husband to do what he wants to do and you just kind of co-sign it or whatever. I don't know what the thought process was. I don't know if she herself didn't want to be in the middle of my dad's wrath, but I got to forgive them both for that. When I talk about my abuse as a child, I told my parents when I was 16, and I was not happy with the way that my dad handled it. I wasn't happy with the way that my mom handled it, but my mom tried more than my dad did. Like, my mom actually tried to get me to therapy to open up and talk, but the therapist that I had seen when I was that age, I was not like connecting to. I didn't feel a connection towards her, so I didn't open up all the way. I was kind of just answering the questions as they were asked without like giving too much depth to my answers. And my mom knew that, but I don't think she knew enough at the time to like therapist hop, to find someone that I could connect with. I think she might have thought that like all therapists are the same, and if I can't talk to this lady, then I can't talk to anyone. But hindsight is 2020, obviously. I wanted my dad to just be more sorrowful, I guess. I wanted him to like yoke me up and take me under his wing and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that this happened to you. I will never allow anything like this to happen. I will never allow anything to hurt you ever again. And that's just not what happened. Like, I think that my dad kind of took it with a grain of salt, maybe. Like, I don't know. Maybe one day I can talk to him more in depth about this specific subject. But when I came out with my experience of abuse, he was shocked, yes. But like after that initial sharing of my experience, I do not remember my dad being extra careful with me or more thoughtful with me. Like, when you have a friend that you understand has been abused or like has been raped, you kind of treat them with a little bit more care because you know that they're sensitive, you know that they're vulnerable, you know that they're, easily broken because of the things that they've been through. And I just feel like my dad didn't give me any of that. Like, I didn't receive any slack in terms of like the way that he continued to raise me after that. And I harbor resentment because he kind of didn't let up on me and like gave me a lot of shit as like a teenager, and kind of allowed my sisters to share in that perspective. So I easily became the black sheep of the family, and I wore that label on my sleeve. Like, I always felt like my family didn't understand me. I always felt like I wanted them to give me some leeway and some care, because obviously I went through a lot. Like, what child or what parent would want to see or hear that their child was physically abused, and then you don't make that connection to yourself, like, wow, I was physically disciplining her really hard at the same time that she was being sexually abused by other men. You know what I mean? Like, I, as an adult, would have loved to see more compassion, I would say, towards me. And that just didn't happen. So I carried that. I held that with me. I held that with me so tight. And I was just like, I really wish someone would have just sat next to me and like told me that I wasn't alone. And that never happened. So the relationship with my sisters, more so my middle sister, she kind of took on the perspective that my dad had of me, that I was just like a troublemaker and that I wasn't doing anything right. And like, I don't know if she still sees me like this now. I hope not, but it lasted a long time. Like, she took my dad's perspective and kind of held that to her own. So that always caused friction between me and my middle sister. And, that hurts, but I'm in this phase where I am, trying to forgive. So this is what we're doing. This is what we're talking about. I'm not going to lie. It was really hard for me growing up, and it was hard to even, forgiveness at that time wasn't even a thing. Like, I never told myself, forgive them for they do not know. Never told myself that. I kind of just held on to the fact, like, why can't they just be nice? Why can't they just give me some slack? Like, don't they know I've been through a lot? And I never received that as a growing adolescent. So that stuck with me, and that kind of stuck with my personality. I would have loved for my mom to have a conversation with my dad that was like, that kind of went along the lines of like, she's been through a lot, just like let up on her. You know what I mean? Like, anything to that sort would have been helpful, but that just didn't happen. So I have to forgive all the things that I wanted to happen that never happened. I have to forgive my dad for not having the perspective that I wanted him to have. And I have to forgive my sister for not knowing any better and just, being a young person and being an impressionable young person herself. Like, she didn't know any better. So it's like, I have to forgive that as well. If I want better for myself, if I want better for my kids, I have to be able to let go of these things. I have to be able to forgive, not necessarily forget, but I have to be able to forgive and learn from what I went through. I'm only 36 years old, and I have so much more life to live. When I look back on this, part of my life when I'm 80, 90 years old, I don't want to think of myself as a as a person who was miserable because I just held on to it all. I want to be able to look back at year 36 and be like, yep, that was the year that everything changed. That was the year that I let it all go. That was the year that I healed from family trauma and I became a new version of myself, a new and better version of myself. And you know what? I hope that for all of my listeners, I really hope that you guys can do the work as well and dig deep and figure out why you are the way you are and figure out who you have to forgive in order to feel better, to feel more whole. If you made it to the end of this thing, thank you so much. I want to shout out all of my listeners. I want to shout out all of my viewers, even though there's literally like 6 of y'all, but it's okay. No shade. I am doing what the Lord has told me to do, and eventually the people that this content is supposed to reach will be reached. I'm putting it out there. Jesus already told me that's just the way that it's going to be. Shout out to anyone that has subscribed to our channel or followed us on Instagram and on TikTok. We appreciate all the support. We welcome all of you guys' comments. And by we, I mean me, because it's me sitting here. Hello. Thank you so much for rocking with me. I love you guys so much. And I deeply, deeply appreciate you for taking the time out to listen to what I have to say and to heal with me and to find the purpose amongst all of life's chaos. I love you guys. I love you, love you, love you. And there's just nothing you could do about that. Bye.
Sometimes life will push you down, make you fall onto the ground. But I know you will turn it around. Oh, this is all we got.